Throughout our video, we will be focusing on the uses and safety of GMOs in the opinion of the general public. So what are GMOs?
I think it's like when somebody they change like the genetic structure of like the plants to kind of like I don't know ward off like bad traits.
Um, I think that GMO stands for genetically modified organisms for food, I want to say.
GMO stands for genetically modified organism. A GMO is any organism containing genetic material that has been altered through genetic engineering. Genetic modification technology allows the transfer of genes in crops for specific traits between species of using laboratory techniques. The process of recombinant DNA involves identifying the gene or regulatory region for a trait of interest, introducing that gene or region to a different organism, and reproducing the transgenic organism with the recombinant gene. Why is genetic modification used in food production? The genetic modification of crops can produce several adaptive outcomes in farming, including crops with resistance to pests, increased nutritional profile, and higher stress tolerance. Genetically modified crops allow farmers to produce larger and more profitable fields faster, which translates to more food available for consumption at lower prices. Genetically modified crops can solve problems in countries with food shortages or vitamin deficiencies. Additionally, these foods or crops are also known to taste better and also have a longer shelf life. How common are genetically modified foods?
Uh, I don't know. I don't think that many foods have GMOs. I mean, it's kind of bad, so I feel like they try to avoid it.
It's kind of bad, so I feel like they try to avoid it.
Honestly, I don't know how common they are. I feel like they're gonna get more common like as time passes.
A Pew Center poll found that 48% of Americans believe they do not consume genetically modified foods, and only 11% of the Americans thought genetically modified ingredients are commonly consumed foods. However, food containing genetically modified ingredients have been around since the mid 1990s. Currently, over 90% of the corn, cotton, soybeans, sugar beet, and canola grown in the US come from genetically modified seeds, and genetically modified ingredients are used in a majority of processed foods. How safe are genetically modified
I
foods?
don't think they are.
Pew Center poll found that only 46% of Americans think genetically modified foods are safe, while 88% of scientists agree that genetically modified foods are safe. Although many people believe that genetically modified crops are associated with negative health outcomes, there is little research to support this claim. In fact, there are several studies comparing genetically modified food to non-genetically modified food in a lab that have found no significant differences in toxicity, allergenicity, or nutritional profile. Furthermore, a total of 24 studies, 12 long-term and 12 multi-generational studies on the effects of genetically modified crops on animal health have all led to the suggestion of no health hazards and no statistically significant differences between the genetically modified crops and the non-genetically modified crops. Does this mean you should support genetically modified foods? Although studies have shown that GMOs are not inherently unsafe, there are valid concerns that oppose the use of GMOs. One concern is that the overuse of genetically modified foods can lead to resistant crops and bugs, which could lead to potentially dangerous ecological problems. Furthermore, there is a lack of research investigating the long-term effects on the human body from consuming genetically modified foods. So while scientists agree that genetically modified foods are safe, there is still a wide range of potential repercussions that should be taken into account while deciding whether to support genetically modified foods. While there is no black or white answer as to whether GMOs are good or bad, it is important to note that a majority of the public opinion on the use and safety of genetically modified foods contradicts statistics and research on the subject. So, while assessing controversial topics such as this, it is important to do your research and form an educated opinion that is backed by legitimate science.